Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to season 13. I can't believe I'm saying it. Season 13, episode 1, overall 661. Brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Row West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family-run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969. And speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, we're still in the middle of winter here in Southern Ontario. And if you're happen to look for winter tires, right now there's save the sales tax on winter tires. Go check out Lisa in the service department at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and she can assist you with getting winter tires for your vehicle. And also, the cold temperatures are still here. They can be hard on your car battery. And right now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, they're doing a free 12-volt battery charge test. And if you happen to need a new battery, they will give you a $20 instant rebate as well. Most 12-volt batteries for vehicles nowadays last between about 3 and 5 years on average. So if you're at the 3 to 5 year average, maybe go down to Barry Cullen Chevrolet and get your battery tested and have a peace of mind as well. And I am looking forward to our show today here on this. I can't believe it's already Thursday, February 12th, 2026. The NFL is now done with Super Bowl 60, and Major League Baseball is back as well. And I'm looking forward to our guest today. This is her first appearance on our show. I met her through TikTok, and her name is Natalie Turk. She's currently manages the Neil Sports Insider. She's the Neil Sports Editor-in-Chief, and does some beat reporting work for Major League Baseball's Cleveland Guardians. I apologize for the stumble there, and we're going to bring Natalie on in one moment. Good afternoon, Natalie. How you doing?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I apologize for stumbling there.
It's okay. I stumble myself over so the NEO is for Northeast Ohio Sports Insider. So sometimes I just keep it NEOSI so I don't, mess it up myself. So look, I've been doing that website for years and I still stumble over it. So no worries.
So how did were you the ones that created that Northeast Insider Ohio?
No, so that's quite a little story. And I guess it is a little bit of how I got into sports writing is, when I wasn't always a sports writer, I was went to school to be a political writer. I thought I was going to be Barbara Walters. I thought I was going to, that's what I wanted to do. Well, I decided later in life that I wanted to cover sports. So I reached out to several media people in the Cleveland area. I didn't have any sports writing, but I had a lot of, I had a journalism degree. And one gentleman, Matt Lodi, gave me a chance to write for him. And he is the founder of NEO Sports Insiders. Sadly, he battled cancer for quite a while, and he passed away several years ago. And I decided, I was writing for Sports Illustrated at the time, but I felt just so sad to see the website just kind of being inactive after he passed away. And I decided to, manage the website and get a new group of writers and get it going. So that is the story behind that. And he did that to give people an opportunity to write, and I do it for the same reason, to pay it forward for what he did for me. So
Natalie, what advice would you give to people that are learning how to write? Like I'm still doing some digital writing for a number of pro sports teams, but I want to get your perspective on what advice would you give to people who are doing digital writing right now and how maybe they can improve, including myself.
so I think my style is somewhat different, but I do work with a group of writers, rotating, I guess, on our website. And what I always tell them, if they're newer to writing, or the way I usually first start out is I write more like I talk, right? So I do stories more than I do recaps, though. I always say I'm not the best at recaps because I don't find them that interesting, but I love to write a story. So, starting with just basically, if I were sitting down and talking to Chris about the game or whatever from last night, what would I tell you? What were the main, point, what stood out, not just the normal run of the mill recap. So that's the main thing that I do. And then of course all the technical, writing style and you know, just grammar and all the things that we don't want to think about as a writer. But I normally just jot a ton of notes down, whatever comes in my mind, and then I put it all into um go back through then and put it in writing form.
That's what I actually do when I'm at the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League or other pro sports leagues. I have my laptop and I have all my equipment, but I always still bring up a clipboard with paper and I always write notes. And then when I do write my game night stories, I take some of my notes and some of the points and I put it into my stories.
Yeah, I'm old school too. I love to have a notepad and write notes. Sometimes literally it's silly, but writers will probably know I've gotten up out of bed in the middle of the night with a thought, and I was like, I just, it just like comes to me what I need to write down. And one of those I think of is a story I'd written about when the Guardians clinched the division, and it hit me that the title was bothering me, and I didn't know which way I was going to go with it. And I had been down I went from the press box to the bottom of the field around the ninth inning, hoping that the Guardians would pull it off so I'd go on the field. And I was sitting around children and just reminded me that we're all children, and just like came to me. So it's like a writer's thing. Like, I think a lot of people read something that takes a minute or two to read, and it seems like it wouldn't take that long to write, but at times it could take hours to come up with and write a good piece. So
I talked to Bud Bailey, who's a Buffalo legend media personality there on radio with the Buffalo News. He told me sometimes the titles can be harder than the actual stories, and sometimes I can write a good story, but I just have troubles getting a title because the title's important too because it catches people's eyes nowadays.
absolutely. And like I said, I do have writers, of course, with NEOSI. And so when they send an article over without a title, I'm like, look, I can't. Now I have to sit here and, figure the title out. So one of the things I try to tell them to do the title, or I might tweak it a bit to make it a little bit shorter, or a little bit more like you said, eye-catching to the reader. Because we live in a world nowadays, of course, where you lose people's interest in the first couple seconds. You got to grab it. And not everyone reads as much anymore. They want to hear, they just want their quick sound bites and whatnot. So you need to pull people in that want to read, with a good title.
Attention spans are shrinking nowadays, and also speaking of shrinking, the newspaper industry too has kind of shrunk, especially over here in Canada as well. Everything's all digital now. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, because I'm a writer and I'm old school and I love baseball and all the things that go with that, and the nostalgia, that makes me sad. I do remember getting the paper and just, or a magazine or whatever it
Yeah.
was, and and just the feel of that. I remember when Kindles came out and I didn't want to read on a device. Like I want to hold the newspaper. I want to, so for me, I'm a fan of keeping that. It's sad that the industry has gone that way. And even online as well. So I know it's 2026. And when you say that out loud, it sounds crazy and
Yep.
futuristic to think that we're in 2026 and we probably should get with the times and things. But I just equate nostalgic things like newspapers and things to baseball. And I love baseball because it is also nostalgic and it's steeped in tradition. So that makes me sad.
What makes a good article these days, and how important is being objective and fact checking as well? Because I always make sure I check at least twice to make sure my stories are accurate.
Yeah. And believe you me, I know from experience, if I don't fact check, a reader's going to fact check me. And then I'm going to be like, whoops, okay. So even I've been doing this for going on my 9th year of sports writing, and I still get fact checked every once in a while by, missing something. So I need to make sure, not of that I don't make that error, but, we're all human and that does happen sometimes, but that is super important. It's very important to be objective too. Of course, so I do cover, I'm a beat reporter for the Cleveland Guardians. And so that's a team that I love and that I grew up rooting for. But I'm also, I need to be objective with my writing on it, and I need to be realistic and honest. And I report that way when I write. I think what makes a good article, or at least I have found to be it, like I said, is stories or series that you can do. One that I had a lot of success with was called Behind the Dream, and I just followed, which the Guardians gave me plenty of stuff to use as we had a lot of our guys come up through the minor leagues and then make their major league debut, and just digging into that. And people, you will catch their attention if you can get a story to them, if you can tell them something interesting, not just like I said, giving the stats of a game last night or whatever. If they want to know what was said at second base between so and so during that called out, or what was Stephen Vogt thinking when he made a pitching change, or whatever you can make into a story and make it realistic, where, like I said, like people are talking to one another as you and I are now.
And then doing interviews with these guys too, like some of the teams I cover, I was a childhood fan of, but I try to separate that when I'm doing media work because I want to be objective and fair. And also too, you know this, Natalie, you get to know these guys that the fans don't see as well. So you want to see them do well, but you also want to be objective as well. And there's a balance to that as well, I've noticed.
Absolutely. And that's the very first thing I learned very early on was to also gain their trust and their respect, um, and to not, I don't ask questions just to ask questions with them. In the time that we have pregame, postgame press conferences, I'm a part of, and then we have pregame and postgame locker room access to the players. So I don't want to just ask something just to hear just to talk. I don't want. Look, they play 162 games. They have to deal with the media, and I want to make sure that I am not part of something negative with them, so you just got to
So issue
respect who they are. They're at work. I'm at work. We're both trying
so
to do a job. And
Natalie, are you still there?
yeah, I was talking to myself, I guess. I do it all the time. Could you hear me?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that was on my end. It was just a Wi-Fi glitch. It happens. Yeah, I can hear you
Yeah.
now. So I apologize for that. It was
Oh,
just
you're
a glitch
fine.
with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I was just saying that I try to give respect where players are there
And that's
dealing with the
go
media,
ahead
just like we are. It's our job. It's their job,
as well.
and
I've
so I always
I
just
think there
try
was
to,
just the delay there. Sorry, go ahead. I can wait.
That's okay. You're fine. Can you hear me okay? I can just keep talking away.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Good.
So,
like
I wanted
I
to get
said,
your perspective too, because I've been told by some people. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just finishing up. But I was pretty much done on that.
No, finish up.
I was just saying that I, try to just give them the respect, and then that they respect me. And then, I find it much easier to talk with the players. If I, show respect, I'm not trying to catch them, asking them a question, trying to catch them on camera, or trying to get some clickbait quote for my article or anything. I just really respect them as people and players, and try to do my job in a respectful way where I can build relationships with them that helps me and is also respectful to them.
You mentioned now, Natalie, since I'm still new in this industry, 6 years isn't really that long. I've had some other guys tell me, yeah, never interview an athlete. I actually approach some athletes when they've lost, and there's obviously some maybe didn't want to talk, which is fine. I don't want to interview someone that doesn't want to talk, but I've had a lot of interviews done with players in the locker room where they lost, but they were good with talking. So I tell people, you approach them, and if the athlete feels comfortable talking after a loss, then they do. And then if they say no, then you just say no problem, and move on from it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yes. So for two ways, absolutely. Like I'll read body language sometime, like if they're totally turned away from us in the, and with maybe a head down, or, not look, you can tell they are basically unapproachable. And then I would probably choose not to. Otherwise, yes, what I've learned is I've never had an athlete tell me that they wouldn't speak to me even after a loss. So, like you said, if you just approach and speak to them, and Tristan McKenzie comes to my mind quickly. I remember he told me early on, like, look, always ask me. And, if I can, if I'm busy, or if I'm just not able to right now, or, I don't want to, which he never didn't want to. He said he would just, they'll just let you know. And which is true. You just kind of handle it delicately. It's just like talking to anybody, right? It's a loss, and a loss is, but they play so many games. I think it gets more difficult when there's a big stretch of losses. Cleveland dealt with that last year. They've dealt with that. They've dealt with that a lot in their, in season. So when they're in a slump, that's when it gets a little bit harder, I feel like, to kind of approach, because it's like you're getting the same question every night. What are you guys dealing with the slump? How are you going through this? And it's like, I don't want to keep asking that when I know what we're already going to get the same answer for. So I guess it's just situational. But I haven't had any Cleveland players at all, not talk to us after a loss or a win in that manner.
I've been lucky so far. And I have a viewer watching. The viewer's name's Robbie Schneider. He is from Buffalo, New York. He's a big Buffalo sports fan, and he has his own podcast show as well, the 716 Sports Blizzard podcast. He wants to ask you, Natalie, how do you think the Guardians will do during spring training and during the season in 2026?
Well, of course, I'm always hopeful. I start off very hopeful. I think during spring training, the Guardians are going to be looking at a lot of their young talent, trying to see and develop their plan for, what they're going to start the season with the roster. So the Guardians typically always do that during spring training, because they have a lot of young talent and a lot of talent in minor leagues, a lot of invitees that they have to spring training. I think during the season, what stands out to me the most is just making sure that they'll be focusing on pitching and solid pitching, and then developing their young hitting, so we can get some offense going. That has been such a issue over the last few seasons for the Guardians. So I think that they will, I don't know, I think they're going to be fighting Detroit for the Central for sure. So
how important is the minor league system?
It is I'm sorry, you glitched up a
Because
bit. It
I
is
know that in their minor league system.
Did you say how important is the Guardians minor league system?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
how good of a job they've done. Yeah.
they are amazing. So honestly, we laugh and say that the Guardians are the whole farm league for the MLB actually, because I feel like we develop players and they go on and to succeed elsewhere always. But Cleveland is top notch when it comes to developing pitchers, especially. I mean, through the minors all the way to the majors. Developing hitting isn't always their strong suit. However, they do have a lot of talent. Just in, for example, like Chase DeLauder, who started, who did play in the playoffs last year, and a lot of chatter going that he will hopefully make the big league roster. Which, I mean, I think that speaks in itself. Just the rotation of guys that they have, the depth that they have with pitching and offense in the minor league. So I think that it's extremely important piece of the Guardians' success.
Natalie, you've been doing this for 9 years now. Did you ever get a chance to interview and speak with Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins when they were in Cleveland before they came to Toronto?
Not directly. Mark Shapiro, I was in interviews or press conferences with them, with him, but I never spoke directly, like did any one-on-ones or whatever with him. But now, like I said, you said are with Toronto as.
Yeah, they've been there nearly 10 years. And before last year's World Series run by the Blue Jays, the fan base were really getting impatient and wanted them both gone. But it's amazing how one good season, one run to the World Series, and everybody's kind of forgotten about them now. And we'll see if the Blue Jays can continue their success this year as well. Cleveland's top farm team, is it still in Columbus or is it in the Indianapolis for AAA?
Columbus Clippers are their top farm league. So they have the Lake Erie Crushers, the Rubber Ducks in Akron, and Columbus Clippers.
How far is Columbus from Cleveland approximately by car?
Well, it depends on how fast you drive. Like I can get there in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So, yeah. And I've made that drive many a time.
Natalie, you've been doing this for 9 years now. How in the 9 years, how much have you involved and improved as a writer and as a interviewer?
Well, so that's exactly what I was just gonna say. I used to watch myself and listen to myself back, like, and I hate that I say So there's things, that are about you, when you talk. But so I think what I have definitely making the change to sports writing from political writing was hard, because it's a different style of writing, and I had to find out where I fit in with that. So I think that I really developed as a writer when I just realized that, like I told you, I want to write more about stories. And what is going on, and I'm looking for that. So I'm watching for that during the games. I'm watching for that. In the locker room or maybe just hearing something that I hear in a press conference that clicks with me where I'm looking for a story. And then as far as interviewing, I'm a very talkative person, super talkative. I've talked so much my entire life. I'm so chatty and I'm still working on this. This is a big goal of mine is when I interview a player or anyone for that matter, I would like to keep my questions more short, concise, and I feel like I'm very long-winded with my questions, which is just part of my personality, which is I think makes my interviewing more like a conversation. However, I watched a lot of them back and think, okay, Nat, you could have like chopped off 20 seconds of that question and it would have been a lot better. So those are improvements I know I could make.
how important is listening skills? Like with the virtual interview, I have time to prepare and write notes down, but when you're doing an in-person live interview, you really have to think on your feet, and also listening, I think, is even more important too.
Absolutely, because you can gain, gather your questions from what the athletes are saying or what coach is saying. Um, and most of the time, well, a lot of the time, it half the questions I'm thinking of, someone else will beat you to it or whatever, which is fine too. We're all thinking on the same page as reporters, and you want to know different things. I feel like I lean a lot of my questions are I wouldn't say like personal off the field, but more like fan related type questions or um, how they see, it's not like for Jose Ramirez, for example, he just signed a huge extension, right? To say he's gonna be he is a hometown hero of Cleveland. And we just had a huge press conference with him and the owners and Chris Antonetti, and Jose was there. And, a lot of the questions he got were and revolved around the specifics of, the deal, right? How much, blah, 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 very cut and dry. Where I wanted to know from him, what does it feel like to hear, 30,000 people chant your name? Because that's what they do at Cleveland. Jose, 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 and you just, I mean, it gives me chills every time I hear it. And I want to know, how does that feel? And did that, play a part in your decision to stay here? So I think that I look more, my mind goes to that, like more of the personal things or the fan base type questions. And I do gather a lot of my questions from X, if I'm honest. I'm very interactive with fans. I feel like I have my pulse on what they would want to know, and I try to incorporate that when I speak to the athletes. So that way I can, that's our audience, the fans. So whatever they're chirping about and yapping about on social media, I take that into consideration when I write or when I speak with players.
One thing, Natalie, I've learned too is to keep an open mind, because I've interviewed some professional athletes that had a reputation for being not so nice to media. And last year, I was able to interview Jose Batista, who played for the Blue Jays, the Pirates, and he went into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. I approached Jose, and he was so nice. He was completely the opposite of what I heard from the past. And we're now open-minded in media, and don't judge someone based on another situation. And Jose was kind enough to let me do an interview with him, and he's a very well-spoken, educated individual. And now I've learned, now when I do interview athletes or bigger name athletes, not to have a perception, just keep an open mind.
Absolutely. Just, go in there like they are, they're just another human, you're just talking to somebody else. And
They're
and
just
yeah,
like
a
us,
lot of yeah,
just like us.
it's just and I just really, I'm kind and, respectful, and I just feel like I don't think of any sometimes it's hard not to think of a preconceived, if you're going to talk to someone who has that reputation. Um, Luckily, nobody in Cleveland really has that reputation, but I have had opportunities, to talk to visiting teams. Sometimes I'll go over to the other side of the visiting team, or, there's been some names that, of course, I still, I'm a fan of baseball, right? So we went when it was the Indians at the time played the Little League World Classic game at the what city is that? Anyway, where the Little League World Series
Harrisburg,
is.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, I believe.
Harrisburg, I thought it was
PA.
yeah. So we had went there, and so there was a lot of people there, that I wanted to grab. Alex Rodriguez was one of them. I mean, I had never had an opportunity to talk to A-Rod, so of course I'm going to hunt him down when I saw him walk by. So I still get those moments of talking. But it's amazing, if you just approach and speak to that Rajay Davis. He's big in with MLB right now, and He was at the playoff games. I asked him if he knew that one of the number one moments for Cleveland fans is his home run in the 2016 World Series, even though Cleveland lost. And he didn't know that. I was like, are you serious? There's no way you can't know that that is like number one or number two, honestly. And he was like, wow, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, because for that moment, like there was so much hope. And it's just hard to explain unless you were there. I mean, you could feel like the whole ballpark shake. I mean, it was I don't know. It's one of the best moments ever, right? And so you would think he would know that, and he didn't. So those are type of things I think you can go up and approach any athlete with if you just talk to them normally and give them respect and hopefully and also learn how I should say hopefully I don't ever have to encounter any athlete that would be that way, but I think I would know how to handle it if I did. I can quickly bow out with grace and keep it moving if they don't want to speak. I'm not going to get into any altercation or whatever. If you don't want to talk, you don't want to talk, and that's okay too. So I respect that. There's days I don't want to talk, so.
And sometimes when I do have guests come on or do interviews, one of them will say, "Hey, there's a certain subject I want to avoid." I respect them and I go by their wishes as well. And also, I notice with interviewers doing this virtually or in person, doing your homework. Sometimes you look up something that's really important to an athlete or whoever you're interviewing. They really appreciate that, and that can open them up more too.
Yes, that's a wonderful idea. Absolutely. Know things about them, personal things, like, just little things that, that shows that you took the time or that they're not just an interview to you. You want to talk to them. And sometimes virtually is hard too. Things can get, misunderstood. Actually, I've noticed sometimes when I made up this idea of my own. I don't know what I'm thinking. I already have enough on my plate, but that I was going to have the TikTok live show and I was going to bring athletes on and, all of this. And that has been something that I didn't anticipate how it was going to go. I wanted to be like an interactive podcast almost. And I did talk to Kenny Lofton a couple weeks ago, and I do remember I said to him, is there anything that you would like the fans to know? And I do think that he misunderstood that at first because he's like, no, I'm an open book. I don't have any secrets. And I was like, oh, no, Kenny, I'm not trying to, get any secrets out of you. I just honestly wondered if there's anything you had to say to the fans of Cleveland in the way, and so you have to be cognizant too and notice if they're taking your question the way you are asking it, or if they're, they could take it a different way because we all can misunderstand at times. So.
What have been some of your most memorable or favorite interviews you've done so far in your career?
Well, Kenny was definitely one of them, and I got to interview him twice. Charles Nagy and Mike Hargrove, which from the 95 teams. Alex Rodriguez, I should say. Definitely Stephen Vogt when he first came to the Guardians. That was wonderful. I mean, the excitement to see him coming from in to be a major league coach for the first time. That was a great interview. I really love everyone that I do basically, but those are some that really stand out to me. Sarah Spain actually is I forgot about her for one moment. So Sarah Spain is my absolute just idol. I look up to her. She's someone I wanted to be like, and I did get to interview her on my TikTok show. And that was hands down probably my favorite interview. So how could I forget Sarah Spain? But she's not an athlete, but she's a woman in sports industry and she handles herself.
How much of an impact did the late Barbara Walters, have on your career, and what made Barbara Walters such a great interviewer and journalist, in your opinion?
I liked her style. She was known to make people cry, right? Everyone said they cry. Every guest that would come on would say, Barbara, you can't make me cry. That became a thing. she was able to pull out things from the people she was interviewing, and she was really able to get them to open up and talk to her. She had that style about her where she made her guests very comfortable. And so that is something that I saw in myself that I wanted to be able to do, is to set myself aside from just the average reporter, right? Just the average, quite, we can all watch and know what to say, like, oh, what did you think of so and so tonight? What did you think of, just the drab questions. I feel like she had a huge impact on what I wanted to do as an interviewer and a journalist. It just really make things personal, and she did, and able to pull out things from the people that we interview that they might not say otherwise.
Do you find there's more diversity with women in media now than even 9 years ago? Do you find there's more and more women involved?
Maybe a few in the area I work in, but I do see nationally there are more women. Sarah Spain said something that just stuck with me. She said, the ceiling is higher for women than it ever has been, but the basement is still the same. And that is so very true. Because we still, as women, are, we have to work harder. And that is okay. And we have to go through the, you don't know ball and you don't know this or whatever. But she's right. So the ceiling has been elevated for women. Women in sports can go all the way up to coaching and all of the things where they didn't have those opportunities, like you said, maybe 10 years or so ago. But I do agree with her where I feel like the basement is still the same. It is very difficult. You can't help but notice when you go into a room and you are the only woman, or maybe there's 2 women and there's 40 men, in a press box, or it's very telling. And also because I run the website, I've pleaded for women, any women, on social media. I'm trying to recruit writers, and I don't find that women. I've had 2 women writers in what now 5+ years of doing the website. So I haven't had, sadly, I wish more would come forward and want to write. I don't know why they don't as much. I wish so, but to answer your question, I see more nationally, but I wish, and I do hope that more women, do become involved in sports.
Natalie,
Whatever capacity.
Natalie, currently, who are some of the top female ones out there that you really enjoy? I know you mentioned Sarah Spade, but who are some other ones out there that you really enjoy as a female?
Well, of course, Sarah Spain, number one, like Mina Kimes. I really enjoy both of them. Locally, I really enjoy Rachel Hill, who is in the Cleveland area. So I just feel those are probably my top 3 right now. Women that I look up to in the industry. And then I find myself, because I'm older, and there are younger girls who will come around where I am now, interns or just younger. And I really try to pass along whatever knowledge I've gained, or whatever, if I see them struggling or something, kind of give them that added little boost of confidence that I wish I would have got whenever I started.
What's 3 words to describe yourself? 3 words.
Okay, 3 words. Loyal, talkative. I mean, we could just say talkative all day long. And I would say inquisitive, because those are all the things I think that made me decide that I wanted to go into this career. When I was a little girl, I had a typewriter, and I made a newsletter for my family when I was just learning to write. So, and barely could, spell any words, and I was still making my family a newspaper every week. So
when I was much younger, I was always into broadcasting, but they didn't have the technology like they do now. And also, I'll be honest with you too, Natalie, I was really shy when I was younger. I hated public speaking. I avoided it in school, and I don't think I was ready at the time. So I think my life experience and life skills and this technology has kind of helped shape me the way I am now.
Yeah, there's so much at our fingertips now, right? And like you said, obviously, too, with age, you can grow your confidence and your knowledge and things you've learned through in life. And I don't know if I'd be the same type of, reporter that I am now that I would have been at, straight out of college. No, I know I wouldn't. I had to go through things to, get where we are. And we have these platforms to use, right? So, like you said, even with just the TikTok, I never I just thought of it one day. I used to just scroll on TikTok to look for funny videos. I never thought that I would. And one day I was like, wait a minute, why don't I? Because I did dabble into doing some podcasting. 'Cause there are different platforms, and um, but I like the interaction on TikTok better. So that's where I came up with that. So I think that there is so much out there to use, and like you're doing really well, like you said, as maybe we're more introverted when we're younger, or we don't like to. I did like to public speak, though. I was in the debate club and all of that, and I the one thing I've learned is I just don't be afraid to mess up. Like that's what I've told myself. If I was so worried at the beginning of, especially with sports, because I was like, what if I mess up? Um, Whatever, I don't say their stat line right, or I mispronounce someone's name, or I say the wrong player. I mean, you watch huge shows on ESPN and, wherever, and broadcasters make mistakes announcing games all the time. And once I let myself just not be afraid to make a mistake, if I make a mistake, I just laugh at myself now and keep it moving. Like it's not the end of the world. That pressure on us of making a mistake, is definitely, once you let go of that, I think you do really well.
Absolutely. And I used to shrink in the public spotlight because I was always worried that people would laugh at me, make fun of me. And I'd always kind of shrink and play small. And I've reinvented myself at 53. And also, I wanted to ask you this as well. How much of an impact has AI had on the media industry? And do you feel there's going to be more reduction in jobs going forward with AI nowadays?
I do believe there will be a reduction. I've seen that across the industry, unfortunately. I am not a fan, and I do not, you know, of course, I wouldn't say condone, that's might be a strong word, but I am, utilizing AI to write things, just seems, I don't know, like cheating, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Like, so I just discourage my writers from, I can tell if they're going to send me something and I'm like, look, I don't think you wrote this. I'm pretty sure this is AI, like, you need to be original with your thoughts. But I do absolutely agree with you. I've already seen it make an impact in the industry, and hopefully it doesn't replace altogether the human element of writing. But, of course, the internet can be a huge place for you, to gather facts and get information. And that is great. We just have to be really careful. I think we start adding in AI and just taking things over, at least as far as that, especially with writing.
What are your thoughts on the shrinking radio industry? Do you see there's still a future for radio, or do you find live streaming, what I am doing and a lot of people are doing, is going to be the new norm going forward?
Um, I still think there's room for radio. Um, it is shrinking though, like you said. Cleveland has a huge 92.3 The Fan is a huge one of the huge sports shows. But I do know that a lot of the radio shows and hosts, you know, have dwindled in the area. And I think that we do just need to kind of embrace and move along then with how things are moving. Like I am a creature of habit. So yes, I don't want those things to go away, just like I told you the newspaper. But like what you're doing now is great. So you're bringing, adapting from radio, and then we have the live streaming, which is perfect. People like that. Or like you said, it's podcasting. People really are into podcasting. And I have a gentleman, his name is Mark Munch Bishop. His 45 plus year radio veteran, I think. And now he writes for me. And he's a great, wonderful friend of mine. And I love the way he writes, because he writes like he would talk on the radio. And so I told him he needs to get a podcast or something. He has the radio voice, the radio presence. And I just think that, but a podcast to him is so foreign almost, because he's used to the radio type style. But, I've talked to him a lot about the differences with radio and then streaming like you do, or podcasting. And it definitely is shrinking, but I still think there is an audience who wants to listen to it. They listen to, Cleveland definitely has a radio base still.
By the way, Natalie, one of my friends, he's in Detroit media. His name is Matt Derry, Locked On Lions. He also does a radio show on 95.3, The Fan in Cleveland. His name is Matt Derry. Have you ever heard of him or dealt with Matt Derry?
I have not. No,
okay,
he's on 92.3 The Fan as well.
95.3, yeah. He's based out of Detroit, but he's also a huge Guardians fan. So he does a show on 95.3 with his brother. So I wasn't sure if you were connected with Matt Derry.
No.
And also one of my friends is a former meteorologist in Cleveland, Bess McLeod. We mentioned before, her late husband, Fred McLeod, was the voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers for many years. And that's somebody I wish I had met before he unfortunately passed away much too young.
Yes, we did speak of her, and then with Fred, and yes, the voice of the Cavs. They have the media workroom is named after him now, and a beloved member of the media and announcers and whatnot in Cleveland. Cleveland has a very loyal fan base to not just our athletes, but writers, media, play-by-play announcers. So, and we have some of the best, and I'm not being biased, I guess, but Fred was one of the best. Tom Hamilton, who calls the Guardians games, is hands down one of the best. He's a Hall of Famer. And so, yeah, you have some ties here with some people, and I'll definitely have to check out the brothers that you mentioned with the Guardian.
The Derry brothers. Yeah, Derry brothers. Yeah, Matt's a friend of mine, and he's a Detroit fan, but for some reason he's never loved the Tigers. He's always been a Guardians fan, and Matt's a good guy too. So if you ever get a chance to interview Matt, he's a great guy, and he knows the Detroit Lions as well as anyone, and he's such a passionate Guardians fan as well. And Tom Hamilton, that's somebody I would like to meet one day, because even though I'm a Tigers fan, he is such a legend. When you hear his voice, it's Guardians baseball. And Jim Rosenhaus, he used to be the voice of the Buffalo Bisons too, by the way. And the Indians, or the Guardians, their farm team used to be in Buffalo too many years ago.
Yes, so Rosenhaus, Rosie, as we call him here. Yes, so they are, and Matt Underwood, and then with Andre Knott, who's the on-field reporter. So yeah, they have the Guardians have a really good, team of people that are on air, or as far as Hammy's radio, or Tom Hamilton. I call him Hammy. We all call him Hammy. So that is we are very blessed, I guess, in Cleveland to have such talented people all around and in the organization as well. And I will say though, and that's just I don't know, I brought up organization. It got me thinking, fans are very passionate here, and they, like you were mentioning at the beginning, at how Toronto fans were wanting, clean house. And I feel like that's how Guardians fans are, and Cleveland fans are a lot. They're very aggravated at, they think the Dolans are cheap owners, and, they just complain. But look, we have a competitive baseball team every year. Basically, the Guardians go to the postseason. They give us wonderful baseball, and not every team can, deal with that, or, not every fan base has that luxury, I guess I should say.
Natalie, since I got you on here, are you still good for a few more questions, a few more minutes?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. I wanted to get your thoughts on a possible work stoppage in 2027. And do you feel, Rob Mandrick, I can't get his name right, the commissioner, you think there's going to be a lockout in 2027? And do you feel there should be a hard salary cap because some of these small market teams just can't compete with the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox?
Yeah, so I'm I hope I hope there's not a lockout in 2027. But realistically, I believe there probably will be. I hope that they can get it resolved and it's not season long. Um, but I do believe there's going to be some issues when it comes to, I think there should be a salary cap because, like you said, it's like wash, rinse, and repeat with the Dodgers. They just buy everyone, and then there's, it's not fun. It's ruining the game, I think. And I mean, it doesn't always work. You see the Mets and there's other teams that spend a lot and they don't win the championships. But I think that Cleveland is a smaller market team. Yes, could they pay a little bit more? They could. Do they need to necessarily? I'm not really sure. So I'm not. Some people want a salary cap and then they want a salary floor too. So they want the owners to have to spend at least a certain amount.
Bingo. Pittsburgh Pirates are in mind for there.
Yeah, and I could get on board with that. So, some of the owners could pony up a little bit more. I'm fine with that. So I think we're gonna have you know, the Players Association, they're gonna stand up for their players who some of these contracts are like crazy amounts that the players are getting, right? But the players are going to, I think the Players Association is going to butt heads with Major League Baseball on a salary cap or different things like that. So I do think we're headed for a lockout. I hope not, because I don't know what I would do all year without baseball, but hopefully that, I think there's too much money to be made for it to last, on an entire season. And I hope I'm right on that part. But I would like to see a salary cap and I would like to see a salary floor. I don't know how that looks because look, that's not my job. That's way above my pay grade. I don't know how you make that happen, but I know that something needs to change because, it's ruining the game of baseball, honestly.
Absolutely. If I was a commissioner, if Chris Palmer was a commissioner, I would say a minimum $160 million floor for the salary cap, maximum 200 million. I would say minimum 160, 200 at most, because I just think it's just getting out of hand with the a credit to the Dodgers. They want to win, but it's not good for the sport long term to have one or two franchises getting all the players. So I really do feel there should be a salary cap floor for teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I think 160 minimum to 200 million, I think it would make the league more competitive than it is now, in my opinion.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
I just try to be realistic as well. I also like the fact that Major League Baseball is back on NBC and having Sunday Night Baseball. What are your thoughts on the return of Major League Baseball to NBC?
I like that. You know, we always get in Cleveland, just the different ways to stream. It's very there's a lot of blackouts and restrictions and blah 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 with that. So I'm glad to see baseball back on NBC. What's that, Sunday nights, right?
Yeah,
And
Sunday
then
nights.
yeah, and so ESPN will house the streaming app for the Guardians this year. So that was just announced the other day, which they knew, but it's just a different options for it. But look, we live in a world where if not a lot of people have cable anymore either, really. So you do have to find your own ways to watch baseball, NBA, all of that. So you know, I'd be happier if it could all be housed in one place, I guess, which it is with MLB TV. But you know, um, that unfortunately is just a whole nother realm. Happy to have NBC Sunday night, but I wish that we could get a more uniformed way to watch all of baseball, honestly, and it not cost as much as it does.
That's the thing too. They're outpricing the fans, and it's like it's the fans that make the sport, and it should be affordable. And unfortunately, the Blue Jays this year they raised their ticket prices big time, and you're almost now a family of 4 or a family of 5. I don't know how they can afford to go to a baseball game nowadays between the ticket prices and the cost of food as well.
That's sad because, I grew up, my dad, my grandpa took me to baseball games. Like that's what, why I love baseball. I was taken in as a kid, like you said. So you want it to be affordable for your families to be able to take their kids to the park. You want the prices to be affordable. I will give my hats off a little bit to the Guardians. They do a pretty good job of offering different things. They have the ballpark pass. I don't know if I've heard it yet this year, but I would assume they would bring it back where you could pay like I forget what it is. I want to say like, I don't want to say it wrong, but it's like $50 or under, I think. And you can go to any game. But it's like the standing room only, but they have a pretty good area for that. They do a lot for the kids on Sundays. They have kids run the bases. You know, so I think that they really do try to incorporate families as well. But they are also understanding that probably purists and lovers of baseball, they also have to evolve too. Baseball's becoming more of like a social sport. So the
Yeah,
Guardians also have done some renovations within the ballpark that are more eclectic type foods and drinks and things that are allowing younger people to come there and just mingle while, I'm the one yelling who's like, we should be sitting down watching the baseball game, but they understand that there is a
yeah.
whole new generation of people that are coming to the ballpark to socialize more than to watch the game. And they have to
And that
bring those people in too.
and that's what Shapiro has done with the Rogers Center in Toronto. They've renovated the last couple of years, and they've done a really great job. Now they're getting the younger generation to go into the games. Now, with Progressive Field, I've been there a couple times, but not since 2018. They've done renovations. Have they shrunk the size of the stadium too, seating capacity?
I believe that I don't know the exact number. They took out these boxes that they had over in, let's see, that would be like more of the right field area up way up top, and they took out some of those boxes. So, and added some seats, but then they had the seats in. So I don't know, maybe a couple hundred, if that. So, but the seats are blue and they look so good. Like, so there, a lot of the renovations are really nice. They've added some suites. I forget exactly what the name of it is out in left field where they added, that experience is amazing out there. So they have like, it's like this little balcony almost. So you can go out and sit in it's your own that you get. And, they just have the restaurant and like a little waiter that comes out to you there. So they've kind of upgraded things that way. But as far as taking away some of the seating, I believe it was a little bit, but I wouldn't say more than like a couple hundred.
What are your thoughts on the changes to the game? Obviously, with the pitch clock, bigger bases, and now ABS, which I've all seen with the Buffalo Bisons in minor league, which I really liked. I wanted to get your thoughts on the ABS coming to MLB now.
Yeah, and I'm jealous that you've been able to see some of that, in the minors. I know they were using it. So, as far as the other changes, pitch clock, I didn't like it at first, but I love that the game is not taking, 4 hours. So I'm very happy with that. Don't mind it. I'm not a fan of the ghost runner at all. And I'm really excited to see the ABS, so the automated balls and strike system this year. I believe I was reading up on it and working on an article, and they'll be doing that for in challenge situations, which I think will be interesting. I did talk to Kenny Lofton a lot about it too, and he's right. Like look, the umpires are human, and we put a human element in it. And that can go as far as like they might not like you as a player, and there's a lot of things that can go into it. And I don't know how many times I have seen a called third strike that was obviously a ball, bases loaded, ninth inning. Like I don't want to see that. I want to see I'm really excited to see the ABS. And do you have a positive? You said, as you've watched it in the minors, you really like that.
Yes, I just hopefully Major League Baseball doesn't draw it out where it's a 5-minute review. It needs to be 30 seconds or less. Hopefully Major League Baseball doesn't like, let's look at this for 5 minutes. It's either 30 seconds. I think 30 seconds, and it should either be a ball or a strike. It shouldn't
Oh
be
yeah,
more
I
than
don't
30
want all
seconds.
of that. Like I didn't realize how that would go. So I think it should be quicker. I'm not a fan of why do we have to call New York for everything? That drives me crazy. Call New York. I always laugh and say, can someone send me to New York so I can find out what they're doing there? Like, what are we doing? And so I didn't know how that would work, like with the challenging. I agree with you. It should be 30 seconds or less, probably.
And it's like in hockey too. They got instant replay in hockey. Shouldn't be any more than 30 seconds to a minute to make a decision, and they have to make a call to Toronto. So it's either New York or Toronto. And I think if it's used right, it can be a good tool. And let's hope Major League Baseball is good about it. And I got another viewer watching from YouTube. His name is John Graham. He wants to ask you: every batter has their own theme song. Natalie, if you have one, what would it be? Thanks, John, for the question.
Oh boy, that's a hard one. Um, goodness.
That's a good question.
That's a good one. I'm not usually speechless, and I'm a little stumped right now. Because I laugh. I think I would take a lot of thought into this. We had a player. His name was Sponge. Well, they nicknamed him SpongeBob, Oscar Gonzalez, and his walk-up song was SpongeBob theme song. So, like, I need something that's gonna, say who I am. So I'm not sure on that right now. Maybe anything by Morgan Wallen because I'm a huge Morgan Wallen fan. So, or I'm trying to think who sings "This Girl's on Fire." I really like that song, so I probably would maybe use that, kind of pump myself up a little bit. But that's a good question. I think I've asked that to many other people and never really thought about it on my own.
Yeah, one of the Blue Jays uses Stevie Nicks' "Edge of 17," and I'm a huge Stevie Nicks fans. But for myself, if I had a walk-up song, I would say Phil Collins, "In the Air Tonight." That song
Oh,
from
good.
1981, "In the Air Tonight." That would be good. But there's so many good theme songs, and I want to say thank you to John for that question, by
Yeah,
the way.
that's a good one. Good question.
Oh, for you, I would say Cleveland Rocks from the Drew Carey Show.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that, I guess. And I try to think of some of the guys change them throughout the season sometimes. I didn't even realize that somewhere, I don't know what site, what hosting site it is, but you can actually get a playlist of all the players' walk-up
Yes.
songs, like I think through MLB, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And even like the guys that come in, the closers or whatever, they have their songs that play when they come from the bullpen. So it's you know, that was a good question, and I was like, I don't know, and I never don't know an answer, so to that, 'cause I think I'd want to, like, really I don't know, I would put a lot of thought into it because it would be, like, super important to be that, but I see the guys change it sometimes a lot through the season or whatnot.
And
But I
now,
like
since
yours, Phil Collins, that's a good one.
yeah, yes, absolutely. He's one of the legends. I got to get your thoughts since I have you on here too. What are your thoughts on the Women Professional Baseball League? Do you see this league surviving, and do you think Cleveland could get a team in the future?
Um, I do see it surviving, yes, I hope that, um as Sarah Spain, she's a huge advocate for women's sports. And I admittedly will say that I don't the sports I don't watch a lot of sports other than NFL, NBA, and MLB. So I need to also in my own self give more support to women's sports. And I believe that the women's baseball could definitely have a house in Cleveland because Cleveland is such a sports town. And they are getting with the WNBA. I mean, it's like that. I think that Cleveland has some of the greatest sports fans, and they're really a sports town. So Ohio really actually the whole state is good for that. But I could definitely see Cleveland embracing, women's baseball in that aspect. And, I need to also start supporting a little bit more of women's sports, but I always feel like I just don't have time to go down from all of everything I want to watch and be a part of. But
It's time consuming covering. I cover 7 or 8 different sports, and it's time consuming. It is. It really is. But Toronto's getting a WNBA team, and I would like to go down to a game as media to experience it and be able to talk to the women athletes, because women's sports has really evolved over the years, and it's a lot better now, and they're getting more attention.
absolutely, and they should. And like I said, that's why I keep bringing up Sarah Spademan. I thought of another thing. She is the only woman and the only outlet that has a daily sports show that is about covering women's sports. No other show covers women's sports on a daily basis, which I thought was very important because I think the more it gets out there and the more coverage there is of women's sports, then of course it would become more popular. Because obviously, if you don't know, the athletes that are playing, I think that's what fans do, right? You gravitate toward your favorite team, your favorite athlete. So once we get more coverage out for women's sports, then I think that grows just because people will start gravitating. Of course, they know Angel Reese, and Caitlin, but I mean, other than that, it's like we need to do a better job of promoting and getting people to know women athletes. So
Marketing it as well. Hey, before we wrap this up, Natalie, just quick thoughts on your career as a writer with Sports Illustrated. And I grew up with that magazine back in the 70s and 80s, and I still have a Wayne Gretzky Magic Johnson Sports Illustrated edition from when Wayne Gretzky got traded from Edmonton to the Kings in 1988, August 9th, 1988.
wow. Yeah, it is definitely iconic. Matt Lodi, who I told you was a mentor to me, really, he is the one who helped me. He's the one who said, "Hey, there's a position with Sports Illustrated." So that's why I feel like I owe so much to him now and paying it forward, especially. He was such a man of faith too, which gave me, which really resonated with me, with my strong faith as well. So when he, brought this opportunity to me with Sports Illustrated, it was amazing. And because I was like a little kid, like you said, that's iconic, right? And a lot of my success with them was just some of the series that I told you about, like Behind the Dream, or I wrote about host families. I didn't even really know what host families did for their minor leaguers. And a lot of places don't have the host families anymore, but it's almost like foreign exchange students, right? They get to stay, and it was amazing. So it was something that really made me feel wonderful. January of 2024 was when I no longer was writing for Sports Illustrated, but that's when I don't know if you remember that day, but I'll never forget it. We all woke up basically to hearing just the reduction in staff that went across Sports Illustrated. So, when we talk about print and just stories in general, even online, taking a hit from AI or from different things, I think that was a big part of the reduction in staff of Sports Illustrated. But it just led me, and it gave me confidence. It gave me experience that I wouldn't have got. And then it pushed me to where I am now, where I'm just a hustler now. This is what I do. So I'm self-made now at the time.
Same
So
here. I
yeah,
can relate to you.
and I think that I wouldn't have had, so much confidence had I not been able to, write for them for such a long period of time, and then have the mentorship that I did have with Matt. So
Was there anybody else who had an impact on your career too, besides Matt?
I mean, honestly, probably just him. Honestly, he was amazing. He and I bring up his faith only in the way that he treated people. So I don't know if you're ever in these situations, but so you can walk into a press box or a press area, and there's a lot of egos in there, and there's a lot of you know people that might not speak to you or might not be the kindest. And Matt was never that way from the moment. He wasn't a colleague, he was a friend, and he was a mentor to everyone. And he was amazing. He wrote many books. He was really really successful in Cleveland and loved. So he was just huge because, like I said, he gave me the first chance. So, and then he also helped me. So it's not like he just like, hey, I'll bring you in, and he helped me on a daily basis become a better sports writer and a better person, I think. So yes, he was actually the person, that my only mentor. I'm sure there's others, but the main.
I do apologize. It's just been one of those days with the internet. Usually I don't have any issues, but I
It's
do
okay. I just
apologize,
kept
Natalie.
talking.
I am Oh, that's good. That is good. Hey, technology when it works is great, but sometimes it doesn't always go smoothly. So I knew I'd get you back. So I do apologize, and I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here today.
Thank you for asking me on, Chris. I'm glad that we did connect. I think, a lot of what we do is networking, and it's good to meet you. And I'm sure that, if we'll have a lot more to talk about. Pitchers and catchers are reporting, and it's getting ready to be baseball time. So I'm very excited for that.
Just quick thoughts on
Uh-huh.
the current mood of the Guardians fan base and the local media towards the 2026 Guardians team. What's the mood of the city right now towards this team going into 2026?
Well, everybody's ready just in general for baseball because we've been frozen over for I mean, we haven't seen grass in months, but no, honestly, the look toward the team is um they're excited. They know what this team's capable of. But I will say, I think the overall, or at least the loudest of the fan base and some of the media are clamoring for that big bat, that offensive piece that we're still missing. They're like, look, we're happy that you signed Jose, right? We're happy that you kept him here, but you need to give him somebody else in the lineup that's going to push us to a World Series win. Cleveland fans are not going to accept anything ever every season, but they want that World Series win, and they are vocal about it. They don't accept the Central Division championships. Like, that doesn't matter. They want that, and rightfully so. It's been a long time. So hopefully they can get there. They're always excited, but they're a fickle bunch, that this fan base. I'll tell you that.
Similar to Detroit, they also need a big bat as well. They did sign a pitcher from Houston, and they did bring back Justin Verlander. But
Yeah.
I feel the Tigers do need another big bat in their lineup, like Cleveland as well. And I find both cities are very similar as well. And I do think the Central is going to come down to Cleveland, Detroit. I think Kansas City might be up there too. I think the Royals might be a bit of a dark
Yeah, I could see Kansas City
season.
kind of sneaking in there.
Absolutely. And by the way, the Guardians open up their training camp or their first preseason game or spring training game February 20 to go to Seattle for 3 games and then to the Dodgers for 3 games. So the Guardians have a tough 6 game start to the season, taking on Seattle and the Dodgers on the road before opening up April 5th against the Chicago Cubs.
Yes. So that's been the last couple years now where they've opened up on the West Coast, which is a bit of a hard for them. Like you said, they start with a little bit of a rough schedule, but at least by the time they get to opening day, maybe it'll be warmer. We've had snowed out. I mean, not rained out, snow outs on opening day. So I've been counting down. I forget. I've been trying to post every day on social media the countdown to the home opener. I think we're at 50 days maybe now to the home opener. So yeah, we're excited. Cleveland's excited. Um, you know, every year there's an excitement, and there's going to be ups and downs. It's a long season, but I think that, like you said, it's going to be Cleveland and Detroit. And look, I'll tell you what, if nothing else, last season shows us nobody is ever have in it or out of it. Like, Detroit looked like we thought we were never going to catch Detroit, right? And then So
15
you
and a half
have,
game lead. 15 and a half
yeah,
game lead shrunk.
historic comeback the Guardians had. And to like, I honestly, I'll be honest. I mean, like I said, I'm objective. I'm honest. I was like, there's no way these Guardians are catching up ever. I mean, I thought this was over, done, over, season done. And the fact that they did what they did, I'm like, sorry, no, I did, no, I did not believe that would happen. But that shows us that, like, you know, fans need to stay engaged all season long and just know it's a long season and anything can
It
happen
is.
in September. I'll tell you that. And that gave us a September in Cleveland to remember for sure. You know, so I think that we're going to have another fun summer. Honestly, and I'm not saying this to be, you know, pompous or anything for the team, but it's finally nice to have some competition in the American League Central because for a while Cleveland would dominate and then what, you know? So it's fun to have, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want, like, last season was a little bit heart, you know, pounding with it. It was a little bit too much of a excitement, but let's give us a good race in the Central. And you know, the national media tends to overlook the Central anyway and just acts like there's not competition. And now they kind of have to walk that back and say, you know what, the Central, you know, the American League runs through the Central, and that is true. And so I'm excited for baseball always.
Absolutely. And it's also good to see the Detroit Tigers back to being good again. The Pistons are on top. The Detroit Lions, whether you like them or not, are back to being a good team. And the Red Wings in hockey. So right now it's a good time for Detroit. As for Cleveland, the Guardians are going to be good. Your Cavaliers are playing much better with James Harden and Dennis Schroeder Jr. Schroeder Jr. was with the Pistons last year. So I really do feel it might be the Cavaliers and the Pistons in the East playoffs at some point too.
I could definitely see that. I'm really excited about the trade. I think that it was a really good trade. A lot of people just last week, Cleveland fans were not happy that with the Garland Harden trade, and now just seeing you know, how he's played or how the team has played actually
Right
since,
so far.
yeah, acquiring him. Everybody, it's like now they're all on the Harden bandwagon. And that's what I'm saying about these fans are just crack me up. But Darius Garland was a fan favorite. He was a, you know, fans, you know, of anything, they put their emotions into it, right? And he's a good person, so you don't want to lose him. And you're like, oh, we love Darius, but you also have to be realistic in the fact that, you know,
It's a business. It's a
yep.
business.
And I always say, like, if you're in the playoff game, right? And if I'm coaching and I'm in a game 7 or something, and I got to pick between Darius Garland or James Harden. I'm sorry, I'm taking James Harden all day long. And then that's no affront to Darius. It's just, you know, I think that at least the Cavaliers are saying, hey, we're serious about winning
Yeah.
this year. And we're trying to add what, you know, we were missing. So I love
And I
basketball.
wouldn't be shocked if, and I wouldn't be, we'll have to bring you back on again at some point and talk a little more about the Cavs. And also the Tigers last year against the Guardians, when they played them in the playoffs, I'm thinking, okay, they lost the division, they collapsed. Cleveland was going to beat them, and then they beat Cleveland, which shocked me, and they should have beat Seattle. But I do think Cleveland and I do think the Cavaliers and Guardians are going to be meeting up with the Tigers and Pistons in the playoffs coming up shortly in this year. I really do feel by the end of 2026, the Cavs and Pistons and the Tigers and Guardians are going to have more playoff sports and moments.
Yeah, I was a little sick of seeing Detroit, I'm not gonna lie. Like, and so unlike you, I was like, "Oh no, we caught our momentum a little bit." So I was like, we beat Detroit a lot, right? To get where we got, and I'm like, no, now I feel like it's gonna shift. I felt that feeling of in the playoffs last year for the Guardians that they, you know, maybe had went a little bit. They had won too much, and I was laughing because I sit next to my my seat in the press box is basically next to the visiting media, and I was just really getting sick of seeing. No, I'm kidding. Detroit media. It felt like we just played Detroit a lot, and I feel like you're right. We're gonna see Detroit in NBA. And we're gonna face Detroit quite a bit, and I think we're gonna be hearing about the Tigers a lot as
And the
well.
Pistons.
Yep, and the Pistons. So
Absolutely.
Cleveland
Natalie,
and
as we wrap,
Detroit.
absolutely. By the way, what's one fun fact about yourself in the city of Cleveland as we wrap this up?
A fun fact. I love to try new places to eat in the city, I guess. So a fun fact about me is this is just coming off the top of my head. I love Wahlburgers, which is a restaurant there, which is owned by Mark
Mark
Wahlberg,
Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg, and I was a huge New Kids on the Block fan when I was young, and so I have to make sure that I stop in Wahlburgers and get a burger before, going over to the Cavs game or something like that. So I guess that's a fun little Cleveland fact, and I'm a little bit of a boy bander from the 80s.
How good of a golfer are you?
I used to be all right when I could go more. And now I was laughing yesterday on I moved my shoulder like the wrong way, and I'm like, somebody on my TikTok live said I needed Tommy John surgery because I just moved the wrong way. Like I feel like golf hurts. It's physical. Like I was, I'm like, I need to get back at it. But I've been playing golf since I was little. My dad used to give me his clubs when they were probably as big as I was, and I was learning to just walk around at like 6 years old, hitting golf balls on the course with my dad. So I had to actually get some professional lessons to unlearn all the bad habits that he taught me. But yeah, I broke 80 a couple of times, which I was pretty proud of. And I do like to play golf. I also like to watch it on a Sunday afternoon if I'm home.
I'm good at mini golf, but the real golf I haven't done since 1994.
Oh,
So it's been
wow.
32 years since I've golfed, but mini golf I don't mind.
Yeah, I like mini golf too. I'm competitive. I want to have fun. Like it's all
Yeah,
good fun though. But if we're at mini golf, like I'm going for the windmill. Like I'm gonna go. I'm
yeah,
going like hole in one through that windmill. Like
yeah,
we're gonna play for ice cream or something at the end of it because I try to make everything fun and competitive. And I think golf is just fun because we can be really bad at it. Look, you watch the pros are bad. I mean, when they're hitting it in the water, I'm like, well, I'm just as good as Scotty Scheffler. I mean, really, he hit it in the bunker. Like, who cares? I'm not going to beat myself up over golf, and I just think it's a really it can be relaxing if you let it, if you don't get too aggravated at it.
Natalie, as we wrap up the show, this segment's called Ask the Host CDP a question. Do you have one question for me to put me on the hot seat as we wrap up today's show?
Oh boy, that's a good one. All right. So if there was anyone you could interview, who would that be?
There is a number of guys, but if your question says one, I would say Steve Yzerman, who's the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. He's a NHL Hockey Hall of Famer. He's the reason why I became a Detroit Red Wings fan, and he is a legend in the city of Detroit. So Steve Yzerman would be my answer to that question. Isaiah Thomas, too, by the way. I love the Bad Boy Pistons.
Awesome.
Hey, and you're one of my favorite interviews already.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm so glad that we met up, like I said, and I think it's important to network, and it's
Absolutely.
also fun to talk sports. So,
Absolutely. And if I do get back to your area, which I've been to Cleveland and Canton, Ohio many times, Cincinnati, Sandusky, I will definitely let you know because I always have fun when I'm down in Ohio. And by the way, here's a fun fact about me. I was at Tom Brady's first professional football game, July 31st, 2000 at Canton, Ohio, between the New England Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers. And you know why I remember that game? Not just because Tom Brady's first ever NFL game. I had food poisoning down in Ohio and I almost had to go to the hospital.
oh
And I ended up,
no.
thankfully, I was able to go to the game. I was sick as a dog, but I kept the ticket stub and now I can get even $800, $900 for that ticket stub because it's Tom
Wow.
Brady's first pro NFL game was in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, pro football, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Love Canton. So I do that's a good story. I'm sorry you had food poisoning, though. I hope it wasn't a bad restaurant in Ohio. I really apologize for that. But
It was a fast food place. So now when I come to the States, I spend the extra money. So sometimes you try to go cheap traveling,
Yeah.
eating, and it can cost you. So, yeah, it was just other than that, it was like a wonderful experience.
Yes. Well, if you're ever like, I I um I enjoy meeting people at the ballpark. So I always say if you're ever at a Guardians game, give me a heads up ahead of time. And I love to come down and if my friends are there, my family's there, or even people that I've met on, well,
Yep,
I gotta watch on some social media. They might not like my opinions, but no, I'm
yep,
kidding. I really enjoy to meet up with other fans or just anyone that likes to talk baseball or enjoys it or any other type of sport. So if you're in the area, let me know. And I would love to come back on again sometime for sure. And you're
absolutely.
always welcome on my TikTok show that I'm really
Yeah,
working, trying to.
I like it.
There's so many ins and outs of it. I didn't think through ahead of time. So, you know, like I had to set up a whole guest account because you have to go live 3 times for 30 minutes or something to be able to be a co-host, like to be able to be on the same screen as me. So I was so sad that I was so excited about Sarah Spain and she was like in the little box. She couldn't
Oh,
be a split screen because she hadn't went live. So I made a whole separate account for, guests. So it's just the things behind the scenes that you don't think about. I have these great ideas, but they don't always pan out. I have to work through them all. So I'm glad I'm ironing out the kinks ahead of the baseball season, though. So I should have a lot of good guests going forward for baseball season.
if you ever come to Toronto, let me know as well. And this technology really does shrink the world down. And TikTok, I joined 5 years ago, and I thought I'm too old for this. This is ridiculous. But one of my friends at the time, told me if you want to get into radio media, you got to get on TikTok. And I learned how to cut promos for my guests like yourself, myself, and create content. So if you stay out of the political nonsense on TikTok, it's a really good app. Social media, if you use it the right way, it's a really good tool. And I've met a lot of wonderful people and guests from TikTok, Facebook, whatever social media sites as well.
Yep, I definitely have to. I just stay in the sports end of things or anything that's funny or anything
Yeah.
that's faith driven. So those are the things I just stay on. And that way, I don't have to go over into that side. So it's anything that
Yes.
makes me laugh, sports, or, that's
Dogs or
inspirational.
cats.
Yeah,
Dogs or cat videos. Are you a
absolutely.
dog or cat person? Dog or cat person?
Dog.
Dog. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Favorite.
I had a few run-ins with some scary cats, so I'm not really sure. I'm a little afraid of them. They can be sneaky. They might jump on me or something. So,
Favorite ice cream for the summertime.
oh, mint chocolate chip, hands down.
Mine's cookie dough
That's a good one too.
and hot dogs. You got to have hot dog at a ballpark.
That is true. That is true. So,
Hey, Natalie, as we wrap this up, where can our audience follow you on social media and the best way of contacting you and your next TikTok live video for people that are watching this show that might want to join your next TikTok live?
yes, so I basically have kept my name the same across all platforms to make it easier. So it's Nats, like Nats Sports Chat, Nats Sports Chat. So that's on Instagram. I still call it Twitter, but it's X, whatever. That's
Same.
too weird. It's Twitter. And TikTok. I don't really have a Facebook page but I do for our website, which is NEOSI. So either one, you can Nat Sports Chat, and I go live. When I do go live, which I try to go very regularly, almost every night, and then a guest once a week is at 9 p.m. Eastern time on TikTok.
Okay.
So yeah, and we talk sports there, and it's just really good time. So I didn't anticipate that I would actually meet people and then really enjoy doing that. So yeah, thank you for having me on, and maybe you can like to jump on live with me one time.
Yes.
And we'll talk some sports on the
Yeah.
TikTok show. So
Absolutely. And I do apologize for keeping you 90 minutes, but thank
so
you so much for
it's
coming
because
on
I
here
know it's
today.
caught up. So I'm sorry. It's probably my fault.
No, this has been great, and thank you so much. And perhaps you can be my new Cleveland Guardians insider. And next time I have you on, I'll have to talk to you a little more about the Cavaliers and maybe about the Browns too.
Yes. Boo. No, I'm kidding. I'll still talk about the Browns. But yes, absolutely. We'll come on. I'll be more than happy to keep you updated on all things Guardians. And maybe next time we talk, we'll get a little bit closer to the end of the season to NBA, and we'll see, where the Cavs and Detroit line up then.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie. Continued
you.
success. Give me a little bit of time today, and I'll send you the full video, the audio, and I will edit the video into reels and clips, and I will tag you in as well. And I will try to join your live tonight at 9 o'clock on TikTok.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. It was really nice talking with you as well. And I look forward to doing it again.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
All
Have
right.
a great day. We'll
You
talk to you
too.
soon. Good luck to your Guardians.
Thank you. Thank you. And your Tigers. No, not your Tigers.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Natalie. All right, everybody. That wraps up season 13, episode 1. Overall 661 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. I do apologize. There were some technical glitches today with my Wi-Fi and internet connection. So what I'm going to do before we wrap up the show, guys, is I'm going to play a little video that I did, an interview with Kaylee Crosby and Raheem Singleton, who are the coach and owners. Kaylee Crosby is the general manager and owner of the Lake Erie Jackals of the Basketball Super League, and Raheem Singleton is their head coach. So we're going to play this video out, courtesy of my YouTube channel. Here live at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium after the Lake Erie Jackals 1-12 win over the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans. I have Kayla Crosby, the general manager of the Jackals, and Raheem, the head coach here. Guys, just thoughts on this win tonight?
It was big. We've been struggling. We had a rough start to the season, but it was a good team effort. I was looking, every player got rebounds, every player scored points today. It was a big team effort.
Coach, what did you thought of the effort today?
Yeah, man, I thought the guys really came out and competed today. I think that we didn't take this one for granted, and we sat down and was disciplined today.
What was the difference in this game compared to some of the other games and losses?
I just think for us, it's being locked in. I think sometimes we was able to put together a couple of quarters, but today we literally competed the whole time. Not just one quarter, not just 2 quarters. We finally put together a full game and left it all on the floor.
Kayla, what did you thought of the second half specifically of this game?
It just continued to build. We went into halftime content with things, but knowing we had another 24 minutes that we really had to finish strong as a team.
What kind of identity are you trying to build with this team going forward the rest of this season?
Our identity is always the same. I mean, we the garbage pail guys. We're the guys that nobody's looking for, and we just, come in and work hard.
Who on your team specifically stood out today in this game?
I think for me, everybody stood out. I think there's just from the number 1 guy to the 12th guy on our bench, even the 2 that was in street clothes. Just everybody's energy and just constantly keeping everybody locked in. So it was a group effort for me. I think every guy on our team pitched in and did what they were supposed to do.
Kayla, how big is this win going forward to your next game? And just thoughts on the team relocating from Jamestown to Lake Erie?
It's been a very difficult transition with the relocation, but I feel like we've got all the kinks out now and we're ready to turn the tables for the rest of the season. So this is a big win to set the momentum for the rest of the season.
Who's your next opponent?
Windsor.
And what are some keys to getting a win against the Windsor Express?
Oh man, I mean, I think just coming out and competing and obviously slowing down their guards. Their guards do a lot of their scoring. We got to slow their guards down and be able to keep them in front.
Yeah, it's going to just be a lot going back to Erie and putting the work in this week, competing during practice so that we're ready to go and make some big stops.
What would you tell Jackal fans right now after today's win?
We need them to show up next Saturday, the 7th of February. We need to pack the gym and really give us that home court advantage.
How can people purchase tickets online?
Our website is lakeeriejackals.com, and you can click on tickets and purchase them right online.
Coach, thoughts for the fans after today's game?
I think we got a new energy. I think just coming out is something to, get excited about, and I think we're gonna turn it around.
Do you have any injury guys going to be back for the Windsor game?
Well, right now we hopefully Zoe should be back, and we'll see. We'll take day to day with Dane. So.
Well, this win today against the very good Kitchener-Waterloo team tells me you guys can play against any team in this league because Kitchener and Sudbury are two of the top teams in this league.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we've been saying all along. We struggled at the very beginning of the season, but we knew with a couple roster moves, we'd be ready to compete.
And again, where can fans follow the team on social media?
Lake Erie Jackals on Instagram and Facebook.
Coach, do you have any social media platforms?
Yeah, so everything is Radio Rod 3 on all platforms.
And what's one word to describe yourself as a head coach?
Passionate, very passionate, and really try to get the guys to push them to their best.
How good is this league, the Basketball Super League, talent-wise?
I think it's, if you had to stack it up from the leagues around, it goes NBA, G League, and then our league talent-wise. I think it's right under the G League as far as the caliber of guys that we have. There's guys that's played in the G League that's playing, guys that have, got called up to the G League from here. So I think it's definitely right there in terms of basketball on this side of it.
Well, congratulations on the win, Coach, and continued success. And hopefully we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Congratulations again on your 117-112 win over Kitchener-Waterloo today. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Safe travels.
That was Kaylee Crosby, the general manager and owner of the Lake Erie Jackals of the Basketball Super League. And that was Rakeem Singleton, the head coach for the Jackals as well. That day they did win in Kitchener. Unfortunately, the Lake Erie Jackals played last night in Windsor, Ontario, and they lost 100-99 to the Windsor Express. And the Lake Erie Jackals next game is, I believe, this Sunday, coming up Sunday at 3 o'clock against the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans as well. So please check out Kaylee Crosby and the Lake Erie Jackals as well. And by the way, guys, I do have another announcement to make. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at barrycullen.com, is going to be Friday, February 13th, which is tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, with special guest Kim Rosen, actor, model, voiceover artist out of Georgia. So Kim Rosen will be on to talk a little bit about her acting career, modeling career, and voiceover career. And she's been in a Super Bowl commercial as well. So please join myself and Kim Rosen tomorrow, Friday the 13th at 3 p.m. Kim Rosen will be on live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. And I have more great guests and great shows coming up as well. And please check out the latest and newest edition of the Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and myself. We just did a show with two wonderful ladies from the Holy Shift Balls podcast, Bethany Shelton and Sharon Clark as well. So check out the Small Talk podcast with our latest guest and with Marlene Sharp and myself as well. So next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, Friday the 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern with Kim Rosen, and I'm looking forward to speaking to Kim Rosen as well. And again, I want to say thank you to my guest today, Natalie Turk, who is from Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders. She's the editor-in-chief, and she's also a beat reporter covering Major League Baseball's Cleveland Guardians. So thank you to Natalie Turk for coming on here as well. And before we wrap this show up, guys, again, I want to say thank you to everyone watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and I do apologize. There was some technical glitches today with my Wi-Fi internet due to the winter conditions here, so I do apologize for that as well. And thank you to everyone listening to this show on audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available as well. And if you're a business and you're looking to advertise on my talk show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the Argo Bounce podcast, or Small Talk podcast, you can email me at cpalme19@gmail.com. My prices are very competitive and fair compared to traditional radio, and this show is on 21 different platforms and on all social media platforms as well. So look forward to hearing from you and working with you in your business to advertise here on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. As we wrap this show up, guys, Cambridge and District Humane Society is having a fundraiser on Saturday, April 11th, 2026 at the Cambridge Newfoundland Club located at 1500 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario, right across from the Cambridge District Humane Society. They're having a Prohibition Speakeasy 1920s fundraising event. Tickets are only $75 per ticket. You can purchase your tickets at cambridgehumanesociety.org or going into the Cambridge Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario, right across from Cambridge Centre Mall. And you can get your tickets through Kat or Zach as well. Speaking of the Cambridge District Humane Society, I volunteer there twice a week as a dog walker. If you're looking to volunteer there, you can fill out a volunteer application form through their website. And also, there's dogs down there. Daisy, Christopher, Bernie, looking to be adopted into good homes with good families. Check out their profiles on cambridgehumanesociety.org, and they also have an Amazon wish list. So if you're able to, check out the cambridgehumanesociety.org website, and they do have an Amazon wish list there as well. And remember, at the Cambridge District Humane Society, you can't buy happiness, but you can adopt it, and they do a wonderful job down there with our furry friends in getting them adopted into good homes and good families as well. Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership, again, is your go-to service center this winter. A no-charge, that's right, a no-charge 12-volt battery test, plus a $20 instant rebate if you need a new battery, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And a shout-out to new service consultant Lisa Vinnick, at Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Lisa and the staff there can help you out with your winter tire needs, possibly get your battery checked or replaced, or vehicle needs as well. And if you're looking for a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle, check out Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership. They have a great selection there. And again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet has been a part of this show for the last 3.5 years. And I want to say thank you so much. And I've been a customer with Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership since 2000. As we wrap up the show, guys, if you're looking for a personalized video message from yours truly, you can check out me on Cameo.com. Yes, I joined the Cameo family. So go to Cameo.com and type in Chris Pame. I do happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy Hanukkah, congratulations. If you want to ask me questions about my talk show, my guests, some of my favorite stories, being on radio, please book me a Cameo on Cameo right now, Chris Pame. And also, if you'd like to support my YouTube channel and my media work, you really like my content, I am on PayPal out as well, at Chris Pame on PayPal as well. And you can, again, reach the show at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, and feedback would be greatly appreciated. You can also follow me on Blue Sky Social at Live with CDP19. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And I am trying to figure out how to do this show on TikTok, so bear with me. You can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Pame. Speaking of TikTok, you can follow this full-time creator on TikTok at Chris Pame. Look for my new content on TikTok at Chris Pame. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars, live streaming, podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans, paid professional plans. If you're a business that does a lot of webinars, go to StreamYard.com and contact our sales department for pricing as well. And I've been with StreamYard for over 5 years. I give them a big thumbs up. Finally, guys, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. And remember to subscribe, like, and share. And that is about it for today's show, guys. I want to say thank you to my guest, Natalie Turk from Northeast Ohio Sports Insider, and she's a Major League Baseball beat reporter for the Cleveland Guardians as well. So thank you to Natalie Turk. Thank you, everyone, for watching this live streamed and on my audio platforms. And next Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show, Friday, February 13th. at 3 p.m. with Kim Rosen, an actor, model, voiceover artist out of Georgia. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here on Friday the 13th at 3 p.m. The show again brought to you by the folks at Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership. Have a great afternoon, everybody.